How you doing? Man Cave Makings. I had a problem finding a video on YouTube about how to dowel a piece of wood to make a right angle, or to join two pieces of wood like so, so it becomes completely square down the edge without. So it's repeatable. I found quite a few things using drills, and there's a few videos going about how to do them with a router. But essentially, either you've got to buy a complete press, or you've got to buy some kind of jig. So I thought I would post up a little video about how I've done it. You may be able to do something similar, or think about it in a different way. That's how I did it, with just a little bit of research. But effectively, I'm making some understairs storage cabinets using this method, and it's been really quite positive, and made sure that each and every one of my joints is fairly true and square. So I'll show you what I've done, and take you through the process. Okay, so I'm just going to take a couple of shots of the router I'm using. I'm using a Draper router. It's a DIY type of router. It's not particularly professional, but it serves my purposes quite well. And it's got a variable speed on it as well. The depth gauge, really important. I'll get to that in a minute. But effectively, all I've done is thought about this as how I'm going to use the sole plate here. So all I've done really is taken the idea of a removable sole plate that then I can attach to my workbench. So as you can see here, the sole plate just goes straight into there, mimicking the holes of the pickups of the holes on the sole plate. A couple of cutouts for here to make sure that I can move this up and down to get me my right depth, because all you're trying to achieve is the dead center of this, the dead center of this, to obviously get the dead center of the drill that I'm using. I put a bit of angle plate onto this as well. I've made this out of just scrap bits of metal I've got lying around the workshop. A little bit of flat bar, a little bit of angle iron, and a bit of flat 1mm steel rolled plate. So this is not pretty, it's not particularly professional either, but DIYers, you get by with what you can. I think this cost me the sum total of naff all, and it really does the job for me quite well. So just a small tip. I'm using 8mm dowels. I'm using 18mm MDF. And what that looks like, all I've done is taken an 8mm dowel and split the difference between, just get the center of the 18mm, and again with this as well. The handy thing about that is that the drill bit for this isn't actually an 8mm. I tried it with an 8mm, but just because with the slight variances with the way that the unit goes in and out, there's a little bit of movement, and it's only about 1/2 mil, so it's a 7.5mm drill bit, and I just cut it down to the right size and reshaped it. You can do that with a grinder or with a hacksaw and file, but it's better with a grinder. So the great bit about this is that a 7.5mm shank goes straight into the 1/2-inch retainer in the router. So you don't need to do anything with that. It's a plug and play, straight in, no problem at all, and just tighten it up as you would normally tighten it up. So it's really good. So that's the drill bit, a good tip on that. Just the sole plate, bit of jig with bit of flat bar welded to it, just tack weld, nothing too pretty, but yeah, I'll show you on the bench. Okay, so this is it, all hooked up to my bench. I've got a welding bench here, but you can essentially do this with, all I've done is taken these screws and put them onto this plate here just so I can use this whenever I need. But you could just, I guess, screw this directly to a wooden bench or whatever it is. But as you can see, this is the sole plate, and now it's at the right angle. So what I did here was, if we can just have a little look at that, is just make the marks. I've used 100mm centers, and I've just checked this out of the actual plate itself at these points here. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. A little check there. 100mm spacings between these 2 points here and these 2 points here. And then I've got a little level mark here that runs down, just so I know it's level and square, and that gives me the right height. But you can essentially come up and down and do anything you need here. So when that's offered up into the right location, as you can see there, then the drill bit itself is completely square and centre. But yeah, as in the drill bit goes straight in, nice and square, straight to the centre of the hole there. Another great reason why I used the router was because of the depth setting. So I've got 2 settings set here. One is obviously because I'm using quite a long dowel, because it's quite a big cabinet. I'm wanting to set these in quite deep. So what that does is allows me to set this depth. So when it's fully into there, it's drilling it to exactly the right length to let me protrude up enough length, so when this dowel gets put into the hole, again, that is exactly the same size every single time. So it's a repeatable thing, and that's what I wanted to do. And this depth gauge here onto the router allows me to do that each and every time, and then yeah, that's how I do that. And then when I needed to do the top section, so that's obviously the edge, and this is the flat. Same principle applies, but this time, as you can see, this is where the checks come in. It's handy. So I know that when my checks are there, can't obviously see the center one there, but the check is right there. Then when I push in, and I've adjusted my depth now to the right size, open up a bit, when it comes in, it's exactly the right level, gets right put in, and every single time that is now into there. So that is gives me the correct depth each and every time. As I said, not an expensive router at all. I think it was £70. I think I saw something like that. It wasn't particularly expensive. But as I can see here, all I've done is made the extract unit fit onto the hoover, and then I plug it into my Karcher hoover. This is a WD 3500P, and what that allows me to do is I plug the router into the hoover and set the switch on, and as soon as I press get the router to go, it starts the hoover as well. So yeah, fantastic bit of kit, well worth the money. So I'll show you the other side when you spin. So obviously these are small, so you can just put them straight onto here and hold them in place and do it this way. But for larger pieces, you actually have to take this and flip it onto its edge, and that's why this angle's here, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, so this is it set up on the flat, and as I was saying, this angle plate here is quite handy. All I've done is marked up, this is the piece that I'll be cutting into on the flat sections. Put a bit of board in here with another board here with a flat edge, and that all that allows me to do is effectively run up and down here in a straight flat line. You see the edge there. Yeah, this is my mark here, and this just follows that line all the way up. So I know that I'm always true and square to the leading edge here, and then over the top sections here, all I do is align up my marks. There we go, there's my marks all lined up, and then lo and behold, it's completely on where it needs to be, and when I go down, it gives me it absolutely square each and every time. So that's a repeatable way of getting each one of these dowel sections to be completely flat and square, so you know you're going straight through and square to here, but also it's the equal centers every single time. And all it is a simple bit of scrap bit of MDF here, bit of board underneath here, clamp that into there, hold that in place, and away you go. I'll try and get a shot of it actually in operation. So as you can see, that's it done its job with getting it dead center right on that X marks the spot, and then all you do is essentially just move it along to the next cross over the top, marking up where the lines adjoin, and going straight back in again, and then just bang on again. There you go, guys. Hope that was of some use to you. That's how I am using my sole plate onto my router in two different orientations, on the 90 and on the flat as well. I hope it was some use for you. Maybe take some of the ideas into your own workshop, or directly give it a copy. I don't mind. Hope it was useful. Speak to you again. Thanks for watching.